Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's video on religious trauma. My name is Angel DeSantis. I am a yoga instructor and a religious trauma counselor. And with this week's video, I wanted to give 4 pieces of advice that I give to clients when they first come to me for religious trauma counseling, or advice that I give freely to people. And it's 4 things that I think are really important to keep in mind as you start or continue to go through this journey of understanding a little bit more religious trauma and its effects on you. And I was born into a cult called the Children of God. So I was born and raised in it. So my whole brain was raised under a very religious structure. And coming out to the other side of it and taking my own mental health journey, I've learned a lot of things. And these are things that I think are really useful and powerful to remember as you go through this journey. So I'll start with number 1. And number 1 is to remember that you will not be punished. And I think that when you first start this journey, it can almost feel like you are betraying not just yourself, you're betraying God, you're betraying family and friends, you're betraying everyone you know. And there's a little piece of you that knows really deep down that you're not betraying yourself, but you have all these other external layers and other people telling you that you are. So you might be in this moment where you're doubting yourself of like, am I betraying myself? Is this the wrong thing? And religious trauma, it keeps you, abusive religion keeps you in the religion a lot of times, most of the time, through fear, through telling you that like God's going to have to punish you, or God's going to have to punish a family member. And out of love for your loved ones, you will stay in something that is detrimental to you because you don't want the people around you to get hurt, which is a beautiful thing. On one hand, it means that you love and care for the people around you, but love should never be used against you. And that is, I think, religious traumas or abusive religion's biggest weapon is your natural love for others, and that's what they turn against you. So as you start this journey, I think it's important to remember that you will not be punished. And that can sound like a little bit crazy, but when I first left, I was constantly worried that God was going to find me and he was going to punish me, because I was taught that he would have to do that to me because he loves me. And so many times as I was going through and fighting for my mental health, the thought would come in of, do I deserve to be punished now that I've asked for help mentally? Now that I'm seeing a therapist, is this the moment where I deserve to be hurt? Or now that I've like severed ties with somebody who was very religious, who was really abusive to me in the religion, now is God going to come for me? And it's this waiting for the other shoe to drop, this constant fear of, where's the punishment? And I think it's important to know that the punishment is not coming. Life happens, life goes through its own ups and downs, but this leads me into the next thing, which is to understand that you are trained to look for threats and read them as punishments. So the first thing is to remember that you will not be punished, which leads me into the second thing, which is to understand that you have been trained to look at life as a threat. So anything like a flat tire can read as a punishment from God, or something like a red light that makes you late for work can read as a punishment from God. And to understand that you will not be punished and that life is not a punishment are 2 really important things, because abusive religions will teach you that you deserve to be punished and everything is a punishment. And so it's important to understand that you will not be punished. Your punishment isn't coming, and life is not a punishment. And that can be something that is difficult to work out, but I think it's important to understand what life actually looks like. Like, life involves broken bones, life involves heartbreak, it involves sometimes car crashes, it involves getting fired, it involves losing a relationship. All of that is life stuff. That is not God attacking you or punishing you. But if you are in a abusive religion, they will teach you that it is God coming for you. And then you feel a threat, and then you stay because you don't want these things to happen, as opposed to understanding that you're actually trained to read regular life stuff as punishment. So the second thing is to understand that you are actually trained to look for bad, and sometimes almost exclusively bad. And this one is a difficult one because sometimes the religion will tell you, like, we are really thankful. We thank God for the food. We thank God for the clothes on our back. We thank God for our church, for our family. And so you think, yes, I'm thankful. I'm thankful. And what you don't realize is that you're only allowed to be thankful as it relates to God. But if you take God out of the equation, then you only are taught to see negative things. And that can be something that's really heavy. But I'm going to ask you to pause this video and take a moment and really think about, do you read regular life events as positive or negative or neutral, and see what comes up? Because a lot of times you're only allowed to look for things that make you happy. You're only allowed to be positive and thankful if it involves God. And if he's not there, then your brain is only trained to look for negative experiences. So if it works for you, go ahead, pause the video, and just think about that for a little bit of, do you see positive experiences as you're trying to move yourself away from God? Or do most experiences read as negative once you remove God? So moving on to the third thing is to speak up about your wants and needs. Because you will have been taught that your wants and needs are irrelevant, because everything that you want and need pales in comparison to what God wants and needs. So your wants and needs have never mattered if you grew up in the church. If you had healthy parents, then congratulations. But if you grew up in an abusive religion, your wants and needs will never have been fully met, because what God wants, or what your parents or teachers or whoever tells you that, quote, God wants, what God wants is always going to overtake what you need. And so you end up feeling like, okay, well, my wants and needs don't matter. And when you grow up feeling that way, then you feel like you're never allowed to speak out about them. You won't even ask for something as simple as safety. I remember the first time asking someone not to touch me. And it was this guy who was sitting next to me, and he kept on reaching over and touching my leg, and I didn't want him to. And I kept moving further and further away and crossing my legs and trying to stay away from him. And he just didn't read it, or he didn't care. And he kept on touching me. And I remember having this internal battle with myself and being like, Angel, you're not allowed to upset men, because that was another abusive religion thing. But I was like, I don't want him to be upset. I don't want him to hit me. And then I realized, well, if he does hit me, then I can call the police, which was something that I never had the option to do in this cult. But I was like, okay, I'm no longer in the cult, which means that if he touches me or if he hits me, I can call the police, which then allows me to say what I want and what I need, which is I don't want him to touch me. So I got all this courage. I was having this big internal war, and I said, don't touch me. And he looked at me like I was a weirdo. But there was someone else in the room who was like, what the hell are you doing? Don't touch her. Get up, walk away from here. Why are you sitting next to her? Walk away. And they were like, why didn't you say anything sooner to me? And I was like, because I was at an internal war with myself, because I was always taught that my wants and needs don't matter, even including my safety, because what God wants is always going to overtake what I am wanting or feeling in the moment. So I think it's really, really important for you to understand kind of the hierarchy of needs that you were raised under, and that God is at the top, and then it's the leaders or your parents or the schoolmaster or whoever it is. And generally, if you grew up in an abusive religion, your wants and needs will be at the very bottom of the pyramid, and they don't matter. So it's important for you, even though it feels like a really scary, courageous thing, to say things like, don't touch me, or I'm going to leave this conversation, or no, or I'd rather not, or no thank you, or no, I can't do that right now. All of those things are really important to say, because what you are stating is your boundaries and how you value yourself. And the thing that's difficult is that no one else can speak up for you. It has to be you. And even though for you it feels like a huge leap, like it was as soon as I said, hey, don't touch me, somebody else noticed what was happening and was like, you of course deserve safety. You of course deserve safety. You of course deserve to state your needs. And they were confused as to why I didn't think my safety was something that I could speak on. And for me, I was like, well, I couldn't explain it, but I was like, it was because I was raised in an abusive religion and my wants and needs never mattered, and God always took precedence over my wants and needs. Instead, I was like, I don't know, but now I know better. But it's really important for you to speak up about when you are feeling uncomfortable, because basically, here's the bar, right? This is where you should have been raised, or this is what you should have been taught about your wants and needs. This is what you were actually taught. So when you try and say, hey, I don't like that, that feels like you're up here. It feels like you were way past where you should be and you were asking for too much. But really, where that takes you is right there. You're still below. You're still like not where you quote should be as far as really thinking that your wants and needs matter. But you can get yourself a little bit closer by just reminding yourself that speak up about what you want, speak up about what you need. You are important, and that's something that you should know about your wants and needs. Is they are important, they matter, and you deserve to speak up about them, and nobody else can help you with that. It has to be you speaking up about your wants and needs. They deserve to be heard. So that is number 3, is speak up. Number 4, the last one, is to remember that you will get better. You will get better. It can feel like a long road, especially when you're starting, but as you're willing to continue along and willing to continually put yourself in places to learn a little bit more about yourself, or as you're willing to get more information, you will get better. And healing is not linear. Healing does this, but you will get better if you keep at it. And I think that's something that's really important to note, because it can feel like you're taking 2 steps forward and then 17 back. But as you stay after it and you give yourself space to learn, move yourself away from the people who make you feel like you're out of line. Move yourself away from the people who tell you that don't speak up, you're out of line. Move away from the people who make you feel like you can do that, God's going to have to punish you. If you really need to, you can, but watch out for God, because that's a threat. People are literally threatening you, and you were taught to sit there and take it. So move away from those people. And remember, I'm going to run through again. Remember that there's no punishment coming. There isn't. There's just life. There's no punishment. God is not searching for you to punish you. There's no punishment coming. Secondly, look for the good. Just the good, the joyous stuff in life, without having to attach it to God. Life has so much joy to offer. There's a lot there. So go out of your way to look for it without having to attach it to God. Number 3, speak up. Your wants and needs matter always. So speak up for yourself. And number 4, you will get better. So remember those things. I hope that they help you. I hope that this is useful. And again, congratulations if you're on this journey. It's one that is really worth taking, and one that will lead you to a much happier place where you feel a little bit more at peace with yourself. So I hope that this was helpful. If you have anything that you think would be helpful for other people, or something that has helped you, drop it below so that other people can see it. As always, thank you for being here, and I'll see you next time.